Yeah, so getting straight into the podcast, jumping in from the previous episode of Ricky D, big up Ricky, straight into episode 8 of the Over the Hill podcast. And my special guest today is a radio presenter slash DJ. Been around the game for well over 2 decades now, and he's now a documentary maker. And he's put together a documentary chronicling the times and the highs and lows of the biggest station, in my opinion, that was ever out on the airwaves, and that's Freeze FM. My guest today is Ashley J. Ashley, what's happening, mate?
Yes, Jay, thank you very much, bro. Pleasure to be on the pod, man. Been looking forward to it.
I appreciate you being here, mate. And
Yeah,
I'm
man.
glad we've been able to kind of shoehorn it in to just before the documentary drops,
Yeah,
bro. I'm
definitely.
proper looking forward to this documentary. Like it's one of them things. I saw a couple of trailers up, and I think it might have been Spinny that posted it first or someone. And
Yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh, hang on a minute, like, because obviously I'd had the idea for the pod, and this pod, like, people that are listening will know it's not just going to be about radio, but obviously from your background and my background, it's such a big part of our lives that
Yeah, man.
I can't not talk about it. Do you know what I mean? And
Nah, that's
obviously,
it.
I think you're. I mean, we'll get on to the documentary and why you've done it, but I think you're doing what you're doing and I'm doing what I'm doing, kind of like because it hasn't properly been done.
Mm.
Do you know them ones? And it's like it's difficult for back in the day, like um to have as much footage. And again, it's something we'll get onto how you've managed to dig up so much of that. But
Oh, mate,
like
yeah.
to have so much footage and to be able to share the stories and stuff of what went on back then, because as my previous guests have said, and as I keep hammering, like, it's such a big part of the UK music scene, UK culture, London especially, but also around the UK, and it has spread across Europe and the rest of the world. But it did originate on these shores, the pirate scene.
Yeah,
So
man.
it's something I feel that needs chronicling. And yeah, I'm so happy that you're doing it. And yeah, there's a couple of other people that are putting bits together now as well. And yeah, it's brilliant. And I'm so excited to see the documentary, but I'm also
Yeah,
excited to talk about it. So what
same.
what what gave you the inspiration to kind of put it all together and start, just to it's mad, bruv, like to sit there and think, fuck it, I'm gonna do a documentary about
Yeah.
Freeze
Well,
FM.
look,
Like,
look, that's it. I'm going to tell you exactly how I did. So, like, look, I love documentaries as it is anyway, on all subject matter. But I was basically just YouTubing, watching a couple of documentaries, chilling out one evening. And I watched the GRM, so Graham Daly. I watched their documentary. They had like a 4-part documentary. I don't know if you've seen it, bruv, but it is sick. Like, come out last summer. What it's called, The Rise and Fall or something. The Rise and Together, or We Rise Together, something like that. Anyway, so I watched that, and obviously it was focused more on the grime scene because obviously Graham Daly was grime, obviously, and they must have mentioned Freeze FM about 4 times, and I'm talking like Skepta, Jamal Edwards, SBTV, like even Chucky, I think, was even on it, and he sort of mentioned obviously his times on Freeze and a couple of other, and I just thought, you know what? There is nothing about Freeze apart from, a few sets, audio, very little visual, because again, it was just before the time of iPhones and, yes, YouTube was there, but Instagram weren't really a thing. Facebook wasn't actually a thing. When did Facebook? 2007?
Facebook was about 2004, but no one really jumped on it till like 06, 07.
Yeah, '06 in England. Anyway, so yeah, like we didn't really have all that. So, sorry, anyway, I was just like, you know what, we need to do a Freeze FM documentary. That was basically it. I watched that documentary, and even just the look of it, everything about it, I just thought, right, we need to do that for Freeze FM. So yeah, it was as simple as that, really. Next day, I've still been in contact with like Ricky and Adam Freeze, and I mean, I've DJ'd for both of them. Still 20 years later, I mean, I'm still sort of DJing for them here and there. So I just rang them both up, said, look, I've got this idea. And they both said, yeah, look, sounds like a good idea. Let's get together, have a little meet, sort of do a brainstorm and sort of go from there. So that was what gave me the inspiration to do it. You know what I mean?
Have you ever done anything like that before? Because I know you've said you've got like a camera and stuff, but have you ever
Yeah,
like...
well, look, this is the madness of it. Like, I sort of just done it. Like, I didn't really think too hard. I just thought, right, I need a decent camera. My sister's got a camera, 4K camera. I said, look, can I borrow that? Obviously, I've been producing music for years, so I've got the microphones and that. But I bought the clip-on mics. They were only like tenner each or whatnot. And I just done it, bro. Like, I literally just went with the camera, booked in a few people to come here, meet them here, there, and literally just went, filmed, You know what I mean? And it just sort of, it went really quickly. Like, obviously I posted up that I was doing it. I reached out to as many people as possible. Yeah, and it went really quickly, bro. Like, everyone, the energy straight away was like, great idea, Ash. You know what I mean? I want to be involved, which was good. So yeah, like, no, the answer is no. I haven't done anything like this before. Like, I've done a few YouTube videos when YouTube first was popping. So like, but yeah, nothing on this scale as well. Like, you know, it's a big feature, really. Interviewing over 50. I haven't added it up exactly, but I've done like 57 interviews, I think. Something like 55, 56.
Jesus Christ.
You know what I mean? So
it's
yeah,
it's quite a lot to get through, mate. And it's like, it's mad because I've noticed with these podcasts, like you probably heard on one of the other episodes, that it was up 3.5 hours long, like with me and BQ. And the maddest thing is we spoke for an hour after the podcast off air about shit that we couldn't talk about on air. You know, them ones like, so like to be able to do the interviews is one thing, but also to be able to get the best parts of the footage and put them all together.
Yeah, of course, edit it down. Yeah, like, so it's been a great process. Like, I don't want to complain about it. Obviously, look, the year we've had, no gigs, so I had so much time on my hands, which again sort of helped me to just say, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it." You know what I mean? I went and met Ricky. I spoke to Adam on the phone. We sort of discussed a few ideas. Ricky and Adam, obviously, these two being the managers of Freeze FM, or the owners, should we say? And yeah, they were just like, great idea, Ash. You know, they said, if you need any hand, if you need help with it. But sort of by then, I'd already got the camera. I had everything sort of already ready to go. So it wasn't like I needed funding or anything. You know, and in the beginning, when I first started it, I weren't thinking, right, obviously we're going to sell this to YouTube, or we're going to sell this. I was just doing it. It was like a labour of love, passion project.
Mate, those are the things that work out the best. You know, I didn't start this with any intention to make any money. I don't care if this never does make money.
Yeah, that's just it. Same. It's same with the documentary. It's not like,
it's something like all of my mates for the last, obviously, like I've done pirate and radio and that since like 04, 05, and like obviously done mixes, and I've presented on legal radio and stuff. I know you've done a bit of that as well yourself.
Same,
like, and everyone's always saying to me like, "Oh, Jay, do a podcast. Jay, do a podcast. You need to do a talk show, brother." And it's, you know, it's one of them ones where it's like, "Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, all right, mate. Yeah, all right." Like, and it's just like, I don't take all that like people bigging. I was always one of them people where if you come up to me in a club after a set and be like, "That set was banging," I didn't know how to react to it. I've always been like that. I'm like, like, do you know what I mean? Just leave me alone, kind of thing. But it was. I can't remember what happened. I think it was just before Christmas. I rung into the radio station LBC, and I had a convo with the presenter on there. And I sent a link to my boy, and I was on the radio earlier chatting shit, and he went, "Bruv, like, you come across so well. Like, why haven't you got your own show?" And then I did a guest show with a guy called Paul Less, who's been on my podcast. And
I know. Yeah.
After that, I was like, do you know what? I actually really enjoyed it. And like, it's a bit crap because I'm going back to work next week, and I've kind of wasted most of a year where I probably could have done so much.
Could have done a load more. Yeah.
But do you know what? I'm really enjoying it, and the feedback's been amazing from so many of the listeners, and I'm just going to crack on with it. And
definitely, bro, it's definitely a good thing.
Yeah, seeing what you've done is real inspiration to crack on with it as well, mate. So
yeah, bro.
So thank you for coming along at the right time.
Bro, definitely, like vice versa. Like, even just being on a podcast with the likes of people like Ricky D. You know, like, to me, when I was, you know, I don't know how old Ricky D is, but like, I got into the scene when I was like 15, 16. So these people like were names 20 years ago, you know, and to be on a pod, and even like with people like Blaze and that, it's good, man. It's a good platform you've got here, bruv. And I think the personality counts a lot for this as well, you know, like, you was always, I don't, like, again, I've always followed you in that, but I can't think of anything specifically, but I used to like your banter online, and I can't think off the top of my head what it was. I remember.
Bro, don't repeat some of it. Don't repeat any of it.
It was definitely X-rated, or a very offensive to whoever it was.
For sure.
I remember reading. I can't remember, and I don't want to throw a few names out here that people you might have gone in at, you know, 10 years ago. But yeah, man, the banter was always.
We'll talk off air, Bob, about them once.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, it's I'm so glad that people are doing this kind of thing and chronicling a time in our lives that wasn't just important to us, and yeah, it's mad. Like when I started, I kind of made a list of people that I wanted to talk to. Obviously, not just people in the scene. I've got other people coming on as well, but yeah, there's some big names coming up very soon.
Oh, good, man.
I'll tell you about after, and yeah, one of them that I've really wanted to talk to, and someone who's already said yes, is Kanga, who's
Yeah,
in the
Kanga, big up Kanga, yeah.
in the Freeze FM documentary. So
Yeah.
yeah, man. Speaking of the interviewees on the documentary, like what do you think the longest interview was that you did? Who had the most to
Do
say?
you know what? So look, obviously I've been doing a bit of promo. So I've been doing a load of shows. So yeah, a few people asked me that. So obviously, look, it's the same answer, but yeah, Nasty Jack. So obviously, grime artist Nasty Jack. Those who may not know him as Nasty Jack, might NJ Fever from back in the garage days. So yeah, like that was a good 4 hours. I think we was just chatting, had the camera on, having a smoke, chatting. You get me? And it was at the end. It was great, like great interview, great energy. Obviously, those people who know Nasty Jack know his energy levels are high anyway. But then obviously after the interview, I was like, I've got to edit that now. So you know what I mean? It's the balance. It's the balance of the force.
That's the thing I enjoy about this. I've got to edit it to a certain degree, but for the most part, I could just kind of just boost the sound levels and whack it on Spotify. And
so yeah, that was interesting. And then like working with people like Chucky. Like obviously we come up in the game together on Freeze, but doing what he's doing, his podcast right now, if there was probably a top 10 podcast in the UK, I'm sure he'd be in that top 10. You know what I'm saying?
He's up there for sure.
Yeah. So obviously recording with Chucky was like, boom, put the camera on. I didn't even have to talk. Like he literally, boom, run it out. Same with Hyperactive and, a few of the other MCs. But yeah, it was good process, man. Really good process. And also good to sort of catch up with a few people that I hadn't seen for 20 years or 15 years, sort of dropped off the game, obviously not doing music no more, or just moved away or doing other stuff. Yeah, it was good. It was good to reminisce, like me and you are doing now, and the sort of same interests. And yeah, it was a good process.
Yeah, it's mad to see what people got up to in that. Like when I was talking to Ricky, and he was, he sort of said like after sort of 2003, he moved away and he sort of stopped with Ice, and then he did nothing about a year and a half ago when he did the UKG Memories Party, and it's like fucking hell. But then there's other people who have just never ever stopped.
That's it.
It's crazy.
Like in Ricky's interview, your podcast with Ricky, I listened to it last night as it goes, and he was just saying like he sort of lost the love for it, and it was garage was turning a bit darker, and that transition era. But like with me, obviously I was a bit younger, you know what I mean? So I was like I said, 16, 17. So when the grime thing come around, I was probably 19, 20, and it was like I sort of just evolved with the sound, I got it, and I understood. Like a few of my pals were like, this is too dark, actually. There's too many MCs on this, but I got it. You know what I mean? I appreciated it. So I sort of just evolved with it, and obviously like the R&B and the hip hop started to become quite popular as well. So obviously me being a party DJ, I sort of multi-genre. So yeah, I sort of just cracked on, still obviously playing garage solid, and still do now. Like, every party I do, wedding, club, there's a little bit of garage in there somewhere, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so you've been doing like the wedding and the party scene and that for a long time, because I know our boy Spencer Martin, he does a lot of that stuff, and I remember he's like, there's been a couple of times where he's rung me and been like, can you do this? And I'm like, no, and he's like, sweet, don't worry, I'll ask Ashley. And I'm like, he does it as well. Okay, cool. Like
so I've done obviously even when I first sort of started,
that's how a lot of people start.
I was doing parties, I started so 1998, 99. Obviously, garage had been going for a couple of years, but that was when it was just about to blow up and go big. You know what I mean? So I was just promoting that. But I was too young. Like obviously, I was only 16, 17. So I was just hiring out my local rugby club, or like my old man would go and hire out the hall in Harrow or something, like the Rainers pub. It's still there now, but there was a big like hall that holded like 300 people in, and I just go and hire it out. Obviously, even it was all my sort of age group, little bit older and that, and obviously you could buy alcohol there, you know what I mean? But
yeah.
somehow we got away with it then. I don't know, like, I don't think you get away with that now, you know?
Yeah, it's mad because my mum used to run a pub in big up the Southfields boys, like Hyperactive, and that, they'll know exactly where it was as well. Like I lived in the middle of Southfields, in the middle of the estate. My mum ran the pub there, and yeah, we had it had like two bars that were split off. And I remember for my 16th birthday, we had like one whole bar, like just a whole like back room in this pub.
Yeah.
And I got my boys from Flight to come down and DJ, and a couple other people, bruv. There was like, let's just say, like a couple of hundred people there. My mum was just like, "What have I let myself in for?" But the thing is, it was so mad. That was like the first time I ever DJ'd at a party, and it was my own party, me and my best mate.
Similar.
Yeah.
To me, yeah.
So then, like, I think a month later, England won the Rugby World Cup. It was like 03. I think it was about 03. And then yeah, we threw a party that night, but what we called it was we said to my mum, "Look, we got to throw another party." And she was like, "Why?" I said, "Well, we have to throw a party to celebrate the success of the first party."
Yeah.
And she was like, "No, I'm not doing it." But anyway, she let us crack on with it. And after that, that second party, that was just me and my mate DJ and all night, and it was so legendary. After that, that's kind of where the journey started for us. We were just like, yeah, we're on this now. That's it. Like, there's no, I don't care that we're shit. I mean, if we heard them tapes that we did back then, them tapes would be fucking awful, bro.
Nah, do you know what? Obviously, doing this documentary, I went and digged out the old mini discs and the old tapes.
Wow.
Yeah, there was a few dodgy sets on there, definitely listening back. But at the time, obviously, it's just learning, isn't it? You know.
You think you're EZ in your bedroom, mate, but you're just
that was something I wanted to mention to you. So look, obviously, I was putting on parties, but I was booking names. So like, I'd hire like the Rainers pub, the hall, but it held 300 people. You know what I mean? And I was booking Sharky P, Sparks, Kai, Martin Lana, Chunky. You know what I mean? I was booking names that were already sort of big in the garage scene. And again, look, I was only 16, 17. I didn't really have a clue what I was doing. I just knew I had a load of mates. And they were like, "Ash, you need to put on a party, mate," you know? So we did that. And like the first one I did, my old man was not doing the security, but my old man was on the door taking the money. And I was only charging like £5 to get in, but I made like 500 quid, 600 quid after paying the DJs off, you know what I mean? So to me, 16-year-old, 500 quid in my pocket, I was like, okay, this is a bit of me. And then, I booked EZ. I was 17 years old and I booked like, these were celebrities to me, obviously, you know what I mean? And I booked it. I was like, what? I can book EZ. One of my pals was met up with EZ, like Gas or something. He was like, "Yeah, actually, I've got EZ's details." He said, "All we've got to do is email him. So £300 for it." Like, how much is EZ today now? How much does he cost?
Depends on where he plays. But yeah, I remember
10 bags minimum, innit?
He done. I can't say whose event it was, but he done an event at Blag years ago. Probably give it away, but I know he was at least a bag plus VAT, and that was from the time he walked in to the time he walked out.
Yeah, that's what.
Like,
what I was going to say was Oh, sorry, bro.
And that was like well over 10 years ago. So you can imagine like what he is now, plus like festival bookings is probably like 30, 40 racks. Or it's crazy.
It's got to be like, that's what I'm saying. He's a 10 bag plus DJ, isn't he? And that probably has been for 10 years. But like, this is what I'm saying. So look, this was 20 years ago or whatnot, 22, 23 years ago. Yeah, I can't remember the exact price, but I think it was about £1,000. You know, like it was £400 deposit, maybe maybe not even that.
Yeah.
But oh my days, that was rammed, bro. Like it was at the Rainers. So, do you know what I'm talking about? The Rainers pub. It's still there. It was called the Rainers, down Rainers Lane. So
I know Rainers Lane, but I don't.
Yeah. So it had a big functional on the side. You know, like the usual sort of functionals on pubs and that. And like, I didn't think he was going to turn up. I just thought, what is it? Like, to me, he was already a superstar. You know what I'm saying? Like, obviously the tape packs and that. And yeah, he turned up, bro. We had like 1,000 people outside. I think they must have let in 500. You know what I mean? The venue wanted to make the money as well.
Yeah.
So health and safety weren't a thing. That was rammed. And like, end of the night, I've gone in with my pal that I was running with. My dad, like I said, was taking the money. So he handed over the money. It was like a wad of fivers, like this big. You know what I mean? So I was like, oh, that's it. We've made it. And he was like, that's not it, lads. He's got his leather jacket on. Starts pulling out wads of cash, you know, like here, there. We've already paid the DJs. We paid EZ. We paid all the DJs. We paid the venue. And yeah, we must have ended up with like a couple of bags each. And I was like, all right, this is what I'm going to do now. You know, like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm putting the paintbrush down, Dad. He's like, "You've done all right here, Ash." So yeah, that was it. Like I was involved in music from that day forward. I was like, "Yeah, this is a bit of me, man. I'm gonna try and make a career out of this."
So when it comes to radio, was Freeze the first station you were on, or did you go anywhere else first?
So them sort of times, like I said, with sort of early 99 now, late 98, 99, I'd done a few shows on Life FM.
Okay,
so
Paul, with
Life
Paul
FM,
Station.
98.1, I think we was on.
Yeah,
on 98.1. Yeah, Paul Roast, big up Paul Roast, man, legendary. I went and done a couple of guest shows on Life, and he was like, "Look, I love the way you're playing across the board music. I like your host, the way you speak, blah blah blah." He goes, "Do you want a show?" And I was like, "Obviously, yeah." So he gave me like a Sunday show, but it was like 6 a.m. on a Sunday. You know what I mean? But for me, that was sick. Like my dad would get up, give me a lift down to Hamwell, near Ealing. And yeah, I've done that show for about, not long, no. It was literally about a month, I think I did that. And then, then Freeze FM come about. So Adam, who was good pals with Hyper E and Gusto, couple of the MCs, the first sort of MCs on Freeze, and I was good pals with them. And he was just like, "Yeah, look, we're starting up a station, Freeze FM, 90.4 we started on the frequency." And I was like, "Yes, I want to be part of that, definitely. I want to get involved." So I just met Adam, and he was like, "Yeah, look, what do you want?" I said, "Look, I still want to do a Sunday, because that for me felt like the best day."
Yeah.
And also as well, I was DJing at a garage event in Uxbridge on a Sunday. Like garage was still kind of 98, 99. It blew up then, didn't it? Like end of 99, summer of 99, really, when it blew up.
Yeah, that was when you had all of the big commercial remixes coming out, and Rewind was in the charts and all that.
Yeah, Rewind. We started then. So yeah, I jumped on Freeze. Started a Sunday set, but like I sort of, I wanted to be involved. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wasn't bothered about money or whatnot. Adam was like, obviously for me being a promoter as well, it all just sort of made sense. It all organically sort of, I'll come on the station, I can help produce your adverts. You know what I'm saying? I had visions for the station, even though I wasn't part of the management as such. But I'd help out. We'd help set up. I had all my builders, mates, electricians. I got them all in. They were DJs as well. So I was like, "Look, you come and do the electrics at Freeze, or you come and do the stud wall for my mate Adam, and I'll get you a set on there." It all sort of worked like that, which was good. Do you know what I'm saying? And yeah, that's sort of how I got sort of involved. Do you know what I mean? Sort of when I went out, started helping Adam set. I didn't know nothing about pirate radio at the time. Like the setup, I didn't know anything about. Obviously, I knew it was illegal, and but yeah, I went out with Ad, put the rigs up in Norfolk. So it was in a block in Norfolk to start off with, because we was quite local. We weren't really pushing out the whole of London on the 90.4. It was just sort of west of London,
Yeah, like I think I know the block in Norfolk. It's not a massive one, is it? It's about like 13.
Nah, it's not that high. Yeah, it's on the roundabout. Yeah, and I swear it looks like there's a couple of transmitters up there now. I don't know if what.
Probably.
Yeah, it
probably left over big. From back in the day.
Maybe that's it. But yeah, we weren't really getting out that hard. But obviously, to me, Uxbridge, Ruislip, Hayes, Shepherd's Bush, Ladbroke Grove, we were getting out sort of Brentford, and then sort of Watford, Harrow ways. But they were my areas. You know what I mean? That's where I was doing the parties. So to me, that was the whole world back then. You know what I mean? But it was good, man. It was good sort of time. Well, good times throughout. But that was,
it's great that you were in it from the ground up as well. And now you've been able to take that and put it into the documentary.
That's it, man.
That's such a good story. Like you were there from the off. You went through the whole time. You were even there when it came back briefly as well, weren't you?
We come back 2008 for a year or so.
Yeah, and you were there for the whole duration, and you've now gone and chronicled it all in a documentary.
Yeah, man.
Well, such a good story, bro. That's so good. Yeah, so man. Obviously, it started taking off, and it just went from strength to strength, bruv. It's like I was from Southwest, so obviously around my way we had Flight, Delight, Flex, couple other stations. And then like a few of them died off around like 03, 04. And that's when I started getting on radio myself. But I just remember hearing Freeze consistently in my neck of the woods. Like once I stopped listening to them, I'd always look for something else to be on. Do you know what I mean? It was like Ice was gone by then and blah blah blah. And then I noticed I don't think 927 ever used to get out that well when it was Mac in Southwest. I don't think
Yeah,
it was too well.
'cause
But
I think we changed blocks and stuff from what they were going. I think they were going off the Swiss Cottage
yeah.
blocks. That's why they were getting out so hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then when we when it was freeze, I just remember like about 04, maybe 05. I just remember every time I locked in, I was like, this is booming. And it had so many people on it as well, bruv.
Yeah, man.
Like household
By
names in the scene.
2005, yeah, by 2005, wow. If even not, yeah, compared to now, not compared to now, but like they are massive now. The people that were on there then are like, yeah, obviously we're gonna name drop a few names in that. But like even people like DJ Target, he had his own show on there. Yeah, obviously he was with Roll Deep doing that grime scene, but he had a Tuesday show, you know, just playing R&B and the more vocal stuff, which obviously look, he's one of the biggest DJs on Radio 1 right now, isn't he? And
he's done everything you can do as a DJ.
Yeah, that's
really,
it. That's it. And that's not mentioning none of the grime acts. Like every single big grime act now, from Skepta, Wiley, Kano, Bashy, everyone was on Freeze because of West London. It was like they could come over to West London and push their sound even further than what they was already doing.
Yeah. Because obviously, like where they were hitting, they had Deja, they had Rinse, and Heat FM was massive for grime as well. But that was like Tottenham, Leighton, like Hackney. It was like East London, Bow. Do you know what I mean? It was them sides. It was never really a West London thing. So obviously for them to reach the audience, super important. It's kind of like what Ricky was saying with Ice as well. You know, he had Wiley and all of them lot pay as you go and that come over onto Ice because there was nothing really in West that was pushing that sound. But I remember you guys when they started doing like Lord of the Mics and the DVDs and that Risky Roads and all that started coming out. Like I remember being able to pick them up on Freeze, being in Southwest, whereas I couldn't really listen to them on Deja that much. I'd have to wait for like a tape or something, you know, them ones. But I could hear them on Freeze, and I was like, "This is actually sick." Like Kano for me, like Kano's like my all-time favorite artist.
Total pure sick talent.
Yeah, and I'm just like remembering back in them days being like, but also not just that, you also had the legends on there. You had like Sharky was on there.
Yeah, of course. The Gary
Hyperactive was on there. Like, you know, like everyone, bruv. It's so crazy to think.
Chunky, Sunship, obviously Spinny B. But that's sorry, you did say about that, which I thought we could touch on a bit more, was like you said, you know, like Ice, Flex, but they were not gone because obviously look, Flex now big legal station and that, but sort of Ice and Flex, we sort of come off the back of them, you know, like so Flex was down for quite a few years or was on and off, you know what I mean, DTI on them, like what Ricky said in his podcast. Ice, they were just after Ice, you know what I mean? So it was like we sort of had that 3-4 years to build up where they weren't really on us, you know what I mean? And then by the time they were on us, obviously we were massive. And
no, they did go after Freeze quite hard, putting a community station on just to try and knock them off, and it took the piss. But yeah,
we do touch on that. We do touch on that on the documentary. Obviously, you know, we do touch on all points of you know it was illegal, but not so much. This is just something that's popped in my head. But like we were just playing music, bro. Like, what you know what I mean? What was we actually doing? Like you said again in the other podcast, like trying to connect it to drugs and crime and all that. But at the end of the day, me and you we were going there to play music for people. Like it's mad, isn't it? It's a mad thing that like it was so illegal. Like
it's crazy to me. There were times where you'd be in a studio, and I remember like the legendary Free Studio. I never went, but obviously my boy Eamon played there, and Spenny, and
Eamon Holmes,
like there's like Eamon Holmes, you know. There's quite a few videos of it on YouTube, and I know you got a lot of the footage for the documentary and that. But like them studios there, like that weren't like shitty pirate studios, bruv. They were like the creme de la creme of pirates. You know what I mean?
Oh, what you're talking about, the Free Studio?
Yeah, but it gets to a stage with pirate that like what I'm saying is it feels like it's not illegal anymore because you go like, nah, this is a cushy setup. This is like what I've got indoors. Like it doesn't feel any different. Like, but what you don't like, you sort of you take yourself out of that mindset of it being illegal. Whereas if you're doing it like, bruv, I've been to a pirate station. It was in a shed in someone's garden, surrounded by bricks and carpet, bruv. Like, do you know them ones like that's illegal shit? But when you went to a studio like what Freeze had, or when I was on Image or S Dancing,
Image
like,
definitely.
you don't feel like it's illegal.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I know what
don't
you
feel
mean,
like you're
yeah.
doing anything wrong, even though we are doing something wrong. We just see it as like, well, this is our job now. This is what we do. But yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy to think like that shit could get you put away. Like it's
Yeah,
mad.
man. Like, there's a bit, I think I edited it out. I think I edited it. Sorry, am I saying that right? I edited it
It's a mission of
out
a
of,
word, bro.
yeah, oh God, that's a hard word to say. So I think I took it out the final edit, but there was a bit in where they, like, Kanga is a big section of Kanga talking about, you know, being run-ins with the police and all that.
Yeah.
But I cut the bit out that I said that, bro, I was lucky. On 20 years, I'm still doing pirate radio today, you know, guest shows and that. But in 20 years, bro, I never got cut off. I never had any run-ins with the police. Like, never.
Yeah.
You know, like, and so at some point on Freeze, when we first started, I was doing 4 or 5 shows a week. You know, like, after a set, I'd go to the studio. If there's no DJs on, with my mates, we'd go there after, just do a 4-hour show, you know, just playing garage. And yeah, I was lucky. I was really lucky never to have any run-ins with the police at radio.
Yeah.
When I hear about other people get and the fines they were paying, man, that would have broke me back then in the day. You know what I mean? The 2 grand fines and that.
Yeah, that would have been.
But I tell you what, we did. You missed out. We missed out the section of it with Freeze, because you said about, look, we was in a shed. Literally, it was a shed in Greenford, 2 decks. Like, do you know what I mean? It was literally a shed. Like, people, was this
still more like the earlier days?
So this was still 90.4, but that's why I say, you said about how the studio looked nice, is because then, look, Ricky and Ingrid got involved.
Yeah.
And obviously they had the P's. They was already running half of West London promotions here, there and everywhere. And obviously they come along and was like, look, they were putting on, all of the adverts were them anyway. So I think it comes to a point where Ricky just said to Adam, look, I'm giving you this much a week anyway, I might as well buy into the station. And that's when they got involved. And then, yeah, look, the studio changed, the structure changed. It was run well. Not that it wasn't, because look, we was trying to run it professionally anyway. I said to Adam, look, I'll help with anything you want. Like, I want this station to be the best, you know, like, and that was when there was probably just 10 of us, you know, like, we had John Manning, Adrian Adams. So the DJs and that was sick. We had Chunky and Spinny B, because obviously they would have been on Ice, but Ice had been shut down. So Danger K, a lot of the Ice DJs, obviously were from around West London.
Yeah.
Got involved with Freeze quite early on, you know, in the first sort of couple of years, which really helped. But then obviously, like, Ricky and that got involved, yeah, and they set up, you know, the rig went, boom, he'd buy one in the next hour. We're back on in the next 5 hours. And
yeah,
you know what I mean? That was important. Consistency was definitely important in them early stages, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. It is. It's the one thing, like, I was talking to BQ about, you know, he was saying, like, they at one point they bought a 500-watt rig and they spent X amount on it, and he was with the supplier and he just said, bruv, we're here, we might as well just get 2.
Yeah,
it's going to go at some point.
Yeah, there was always 2 or 3. Like,
you have to do that. You have to do that, bruv, because you are going to get hit. You have to have backups, and it's where a lot of stations have fallen off over the years. Like, you know, like, I mean, Ricky he made me laugh when he was saying he did Reload FM, and they only had the 1 rig, and it lasted them a year, and then once went, the station went.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah, I mean, you can go through a time. I mean, obviously, it would have happened to Freeze later on, but you can go through a time of having a rig on for a month, maybe even 2 months, and then there's another time you'll get hit 3 times in a week, bruv.
Yeah, that's it. You get, like, you go for a couple of months and nothing. But again, it's like, and if they got the time on their hands, didn't they?
When did you?
Again, we were still on 90.4, so it wasn't. So then a bit later, like, Ricky was like, we ain't getting out further enough. You know what I mean? Yeah. We're not getting out to East London. So that's when the 92.7 thing come along. So I'm not too sure of the years. I think it might have been 2002, late. Maybe early 2003, I think. And this is the rumour. I don't know, because I haven't heard this but yeah, we bought that station off Tony McMahon.
Yeah.
For, I don't know what the fee was. And yeah, then we went out to 927, and then that's when we went, you know what I mean? Boomed out across London. Like, literally, I was doing paint and decorating with my old man and stuff during the day. And I was doing jobs in Hackney, and I've got Freeze FM as crystal clear, like it was Capital FM, you know what I mean, or Kiss, and I'm like, yeah, Dad, look, this is my station, Dad, these are my mates, like that. Yeah, you know, obviously he didn't appreciate it like I did, but Yeah, man.
No, I
927.
can attest to that because there was at one point where my mum and my sister were living in Hackney over by Clapton near the roundabout and that there,
Mm.
and my dad gave me a lift from Bromley in Southeast, and it was a Sunday afternoon. I remember it being a Sunday because I used to listen to like Spinny every week and Sharky and that. But like I
Yeah, yeah.
remember we got in the car in Bromley and put Freeze on, and it was Crystal. And we drove all the way up. We went all the way to Clapham to go and do something, and then we drove over to Hackney, over to Clapton,
Yeah.
and yeah, mate, it was Crystal the whole time, like not a crackle. Crazy, like,
Yeah,
which is
that's it.
mad. That's actually mad. Like that would never happen today. Could never
Yeah.
happen today at all.
Yeah. So yeah, that was 927 was the frequency, definitely. And I obviously knew that being a Mac station. I think everyone did really. If you was a garage head,
Yeah.
you knew Mac, you knew Ice, and then obviously Freeze. But like I said before, Freeze sort of was on the back end of them stations, you know. Sort of then we had the new genres coming out, which again it wasn't even called grime. 2002,
Yeah.
2003 weren't called grime. We had like and again
Sublo.
Sublo. That was it. West London, and that was Johnny Cash. Big up Johnny Cash. He's in the documentary. That was a good interview. I'd never met Johnny Cash. Never met him back in the day. We never crossed paths, so that was good to go and meet him. You know, talking about like you said, the Sublo thing. East London had the Esky.
So yeah, that's what that is. It's a weird thing. Like there's even a couple of old grime documentaries from back in the day where people were calling it like people from East were calling it like Esky or like
Esky,
there was like a couple of other names for it, and then like other people from the rest of London were like, no, it's called Sublo. Like, I remember in Southwest we called it Sublo. Like even off the back of like I think anything that came out after like Storm from Wookiee, I think anything that came out after them, everyone was just like, yeah, it's Sublo, it's Sublo, it's Sublo. Grime didn't even come about till like fucking hell, 07, something like that.
Was it that late? Was it?
Yeah, bro. It might have been a bit earlier. Might have been
again.
A bit
this
earlier.
Is just from doing the documentary, but Johnny Cash speaks about it, saying that it was Radio 1 that called it grime.
Really?
Yeah, apparently, and put it all under one umbrella. Not if that's true. I'm not too sure. But I don't think it was that late. 2007 was kind of like funky. We had the funky era, didn't we?
Yeah, that's
2008.
True.
So grime was. I definitely think grime was already a thing. Yeah, man. Obviously that.
Because I remember era, when did What You Call It come out? Was that like 03?
So that might have been 03. So yeah, look.
So it would have been definitely after that. Definitely.
Yeah. 04, 05.
Because that was the point of the tune, right? What do you call it?
Yeah, of course, that's it. What do we call it? You know, like
Crazy.
The garage scene didn't want to know. They didn't really want to know what the grime people were trying to do. They didn't want to be. They didn't want them to be part of it, really. You know what I mean? Which I understand. Look, I get it, and I get the two sides. I see it from both sides. You know what I mean? I appreciate it, but I understand why they're like, "Nah, this is too dark. We can't have this in the clubs." You know what I mean? But on the other side, it's the energy of the grime, the energy of. And look what it's done. Look at the people that's come from grime now. Like some of our UK's biggest stars are grime acts now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why I've been hammering it about the pod. You know, like
yeah.
I've said it a couple of times, and I'll say it again, and I'm going to say it on every episode, bruv. If we didn't have Pirate Radio, Stormzy doesn't headline Glastonbury.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Stormzy. That's it. 100%,
that's it,
bro.
That's the transition, and that's why it's like I try and explain that to people who don't understand the culture and that.
Yeah,
and they're just like. They're like, really? Like, how though? How does that work? And then you have to sit there step by step and say, right. So like back in 1989, we had a station called like, and you sort of break it down.
It's mad, don't it? You know what? Something I thought of the other day, right? So like I've seen garage scene 20 years or 20 years plus, ago. Like 20 years ago was 99 or whatever. We were doing our thing or early 2000s for you. But then when you think that time, 20 years before that was 1979, bro. It's still like disco Saturday Night Fever thing. So it's like, see how the music changes. Now we're 20 years later.
But we still had pirates back then. The mad thing about Pirate back then is there was like no rules. So they could go to your studio and watch you playing. And all they could do was turn you off. They couldn't raid you. They couldn't arrest you. They couldn't do nothing. Like there's I think there's a documentary called The Last Rebels on YouTube. I'll send it to you if you ain't seen it.
Yeah, definitely. So, you spoke about something else as well last night, or not last night. Sorry, on the Ricky D podcast I was listening to that I wanted to listen to, and I didn't catch it. But it was like some old school YouTube channel or something.
Oh yeah, it's called Take Me Back.
Yeah, send me all them links, bro.
Yeah,
I love
all that
stuff. Stuff that I can't. I love. Like I said, I love documentaries. I.e., the reason why I sort of done the Freeze one.
Yeah, of course. But no, the Last Rebels one's quality because you see a lot of old stations that were coming off of like Trellick and that, and but they're like
Yeah,
all
Trellick Towers,
old,
Ladbroke Grove, yeah.
yeah, all old like reggae stations and that. And you see the DTI and like what the original DTI before they were even called it, and they like turning up like in suits and everything else, like proper MPs and that walking in,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh, so you know, how does this work? And they're all broadcasting. All these people, these guys are just sitting there like, because they at the time there was no real law to say that what they were doing was a punishable offense for prison and stuff, and it was all just young black kids from the manor just going, no, we're doing our own thing. You don't play our music. Like Radio One's a fucking joke at this point
Mm-hmm.
already. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so we're gonna do our own thing, and that's like they were the ones that started it on shore because obviously the original Pirates was on the boats in the oceans and that with like
Yeah, yeah, back in
Jackie
the
and
60s.
Caroline.
Yeah,
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 so
yeah, yeah.
they bought it in a city, and then you had like Thameside Radio and stuff in the early 80s, and LWR was probably the biggest, and then you had like Kiss came along as well, and they were all coming off
Yeah,
like Crystal Palace and places like that, setting up on the top of shops. I'll send you the Last Rebels documentary. It's quality they go into it, but yeah, then obviously like the progression to just sort of every big underground music, because in the 80s it was like reggae and soul,
reggae, yeah,
and then
yeah,
it moved on to the house scene towards the end of the 80s, and then the
80s,
early
yeah,
hardcore and jungle in the early
drum
90s.
and bass, yeah, jungle, yeah.
Yeah, the progression's crazy, and it's mad that so many people that go to commercial dance venues and dance around to club music and that have got no fucking idea where it
Yeah,
came
yeah,
from. Like,
where they originate come. But that's it again. It's like that was the only platform, weren't it? Like
yeah,
up to like 2000, even you know when the internet. Yeah, there was no other platform. We didn't have any social media. There was no other way of really getting your music out there, really. Yeah. Or unless you was DJing in the clubs, you know what I mean, and you play the tunes. But yeah, that pirate radio was so important to the music scene. Yeah, man, definitely.
So in the you know, we speak about a couple of people that are in the documentary, and I don't want to give away anything that's in it. Obviously,
most of the people that are in it.
Disclaimer: I haven't seen it, so if anyone's listening, I'm the same as everyone else. I haven't seen it. But I wanted to talk about, you know, we mentioned Kanga. Because you said, you know, you yourself were going out and doing some of the aerials and that with the boys.
Yeah, the very beginning. But it weren't for me, bro. It weren't for me. Like, not that I'm scared of heights, but if I'm up high and I'm unsafe, I'm a bit shook. And
when did you knock it on the head around the time he came? Because for anyone who don't know, Kanga's like a pirate radio legend. I think
legend.
It was either him or Slimzy that was the first person to get an ASBO for doing pirate radio and getting banned. Now, I think Slimzy got banned from everything above 4 floors, but Kanga got banned from every rooftop.
Across London.
Like, across all 32 boroughs, Kanga's banned. So around the time that he came on, obviously he was doing the setups. He was the engineer, proper legend. Was that was that sort of?
He was a bit later. So Kanga sort of come back when we had the second stint. Like we was off for a good year, obviously with the DTI thing going on and that, and then Kanga come in about quite late actually. He sort of joined like sort of 2006, 2007.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So we'd been going sort of 8 years, I suppose, by then. But by then, we was the biggest station. Like, Freeze FM was the biggest station in London, our underground station in London at the time. And
how long?
Kanga come along, and he just had he had the knowledge, didn't he? Like, I think that's when we changed blocks. I think. Again, look, I wasn't involved in the sort of rig side of it by then.
That's what I was going to ask. How long did it take before you knocked that on the head?
Yeah, I think I went up. It was raining one night, and I went up. There's a big up Damo as well, and Neil T as well. So they were two of the DJs who sort of started it management wise. You know what I mean? Who put their money into it. So I was up there. It was rainy. I think it was the Norfolk. Or did we go to some other one? I think it was the Norfolk. But there was no railings, bro. Like there was a little foot thing about that high. You slip, mate. Boom, you're gone. And it was raining. It was windy. I'm holding wires. Adam's plugging this in there, and I was just thought, you know what? I don't know about doing this anymore. I don't know about doing this. See, I stopped going up the towers then and just concentrated on DJing and producing the adverts and that for the station. You know,
staying on solid ground.
yeah, that worked for me. That worked for me up there. But yeah, when Kanga got involved, yeah, man.
It was Freeze. Again, it's kind of public knowledge. And I don't want to bait up anything that's in the documentary or spoiler alert.
No, go on, yeah.
But I think it was Freeze when he got busted, wasn't it?
He tells the full story.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I remember reading it, bruv. I remember reading it in the Evening Standard.
Oh, mate.
That's
So
how
big up
crazy that
Elsky
was.
as well. Yeah, there's what it is. It's kind of a bit of a, well, not a monologue. What do you call it? A montage of everyone's story.
Yep.
That either got fined, got arrested. You know what I mean? Had their records taken. Imagine that, bro. Like the vinyl. Imagine having your vinyl taken.
That is the worst.
That's why I say I'm so lucky. Imagine how much is a vinyl. Like, I've got one of my boxes down. I obviously ain't bought vinyl for years, but I was doing 50 quid a week on vinyl back then. I swear, and like that was probably most of my money. You know. So yeah, to lose it, if you'd lost it back then, yeah, that would have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, we were talking about it on another episode because I was listening to another podcast with Pyro that used to do a lot of the setups for True and other stations, and he was saying that he got nicked once when he was doing the True Breakfast show, and they took all of his CDs, and the judge was like, but the judge took pity on him because he was like, oh well, you've already had your CDs destroyed, and he's like, you silly cunt, I'll burn them in an hour.
yeah. CDs a bit different, burning them. Yeah, like I wouldn't have been that.
I'd rather lose that. I'd rather lose that.
Oh, yeah.
BQ was saying the same thing because BQ lost a Technic, and I was like, bruv, you're better off losing a Technic than you are fucking losing like a box of records, bruv.
Yeah, man.
Not the one.
But like I said, man, I was just lucky. Never had no run-ins with the law. No,
that is a stroke of luck. I think I never had it with the law. I think we went off air once when I was on, but that was a technical and that got sorted out. But yeah, no, I did have some absolute wally threatening to come down the flight studio one night. Me and Ricky kind of touched on it on the last episode because he was one of the people.
I remember. Yeah.
He knows who the fellow was, and he messaged me like, bruv, like this geezer is an absolute plank. Like, don't worry about it. I was like, I ain't worried about it, but it's just like at the same time, who needs that grief? You know, the ones like,
of course.
Just all of that radio beef and that, bruv, that was just like so long. Like,
yeah, man.
It's just, especially when
you avoid all that.
Yeah, especially when you're like nothing really to do with managing a station and that, and someone's just like, yeah, it's not for me. It's not for me, bruv, at all. But yeah, so obviously in a documentary, you go through some of the big names that pass through, a lot of the grime people and that. You know,
some good footage, bro. We got some
bruv, like how the hell where did you get it all from?
Like this was mad. So like obviously that day when I first started shooting, obviously where I was watching a lot of I started watching more documentaries at night just to get a feel for how to put it together, because I didn't want it to just be like, what, when did you join Freeze? I'm not in it doing any of that. Like, I'm in it obviously telling my bit, but there's no questions, it's just flowing as a story. So so when I first started putting it out there, the feelers out there, and I think in the first couple of weeks I'd done like a trailer, you know, like it was just old footage. So I'd gone on YouTube, found as much footage as possible, you know, but literally the quality was so bad. It was so pixelated, but I had enough. Like I got like a couple of shots of Hyperactive, bit of Sharky P, Anna Kiss, and I had some videos that I'd uploaded with me and a few guests on the later stages of Freeze, but I thought I could still use that just for sort of cutaway shots. And then I was just like, you know what, I need more. This ain't enough. Like, but I thought that would come. So I just reached out to everyone, like even like Risky Roads, everyone who was in that sort of game, them sort of times. I reached out to them, you know, if you've got any footage I could use from Freeze. And they was like, nah, like, I filmed at a few Freeze events, but not at the actual studio, blah, blah. Anyway, stroke of luck, a guy called Elon, he now works for the BBC. He got in contact through someone else that posted up the trailer saying, oh, I've still got my footage from when I was doing the documentary at Freeze back in 2003. And when I read that, I looked at the guy's profile and I was like, oh my God, that's the guy. I've been talking to Adam and Ricky about this guy for a couple of weeks saying, do you remember? Because I got interviewed for it. You know what I mean? Yeah. He comes to the studio, he interviewed like Roll Deep, he interviewed all the local DJs like myself, all the DJs that had been there from the start, Barrio, you know, loads of people. And he was like, yeah, I've got the footage, but I never took it off tape. So it's still on tape. One sec, look. Remember these things? Here we go.
Fucking hell.
Yeah, so the old camper, this is not a cassette, kids. This is that's an
original tape. Yeah.
So he had 15 of these. That's actually one of them there. Look, that is, DJ Groove. You know DJ Groove. And he said, I've got 15 DVD tapes. He goes, I never took it off the tapes. I was like, mate, I'd love to have that or use that footage. I would love that. He was like, mate, if you want, come and get the tapes. He goes, but I haven't got a camcorder. I haven't used one in years. You know what I mean? So I went and picked up the tapes, and then I needed a digital camcorder from like early noughties or what. So I put out, I think on Facebook, anyone got there was only like a couple of £100 to buy on eBay, but I just thought I'm only going to use it once.
Yeah.
So I put out a thing. Someone was like, yeah, you can borrow that. Then I had to get about 3 different connectors because like the leads had gone out of date, you know, where they had to get an adapter to one, into another one, and then another one into my Mac. Oh, mate, that footage was brilliant. It was gold. I got Chucky, like Roll Deep. So like, who else? We got Hyperactive interview on there. Like, oh, it's just sick. I was like, obviously, and I'd already been filming with a lot of these people anyway, so I'd already done the interviews. You know what I mean? And to get that footage from 18 years ago, bruv, it was so mad that the actual interviews were so similar. You know what I mean? From a 20 years to now, obviously there's a couple of questions that changed, and the answers. So I was watching Chucky's one, and then it's just so mad, bro.
It just shows that everyone's memories stand the test of time, innit? And
that's
when you live through something so well, like it just becomes a part of you. And yeah, I think I'd probably in 10 years' time still be talking about my time on certain stations.
Definitely. That's it,
so,
man. And then
it's nuts because when I've seen the proper trailers and that, I just saw some of the footage, and I'm like, bruv, I'm one of these people, like I've said it before, like I'm like an anorak for pirates. Like there's a lot
of course.
There's like a lot of stuff about a lot of stations that I know, and I've seen every documentary, and I've listened to every interview, and blah blah blah. And like I'm sitting there looking at this video going, no, I've seen that one of Anarchist, and I've seen that one, because that's on, and then I'm like, where did he fucking get these?
Yeah, so look, that's it. This is like the next part of it. So obviously, look, I've got all that. So that was 15 tapes. You've got to watch it. You know, you've got to record it off as a watch it live. So I just watched it all live, and I was so gassed, man. I was like ringing Elsky and sending them screenshots, and look what I've got. Oh, this is nuts. And then so Jay Wing, he was a member of Musical Mob. Again, Musical Mob played a massive part in the grime scene, and they were Freeze FM residents. They used to do the show after me on a Sunday, and they had like a Wednesday night show. So Jay Wing got in contact with me and was like, Ash, I've got some footage you might like. And I was like, what you got? And he was like, I'm going to send you the link. So he sent me a link. It was a 2-hour video. So it took ages to download. You know, like, and again, look, like obviously the start of this, my internet and my apartment is a bit whack. So it must have took about 4 hours to download. I had an hour set of Kano, DEE, Musical Mob, Nasty Jack, God's Gift, Bashy, Rico Dan, Sharky Major, like, who else was in there? Marcus Nasty, obviously Nasty Crew, Mac 10, Carney, like, I was like, oh, this is literally the creme de la creme of the grime scene now, 20 years ago, and this is unseen footage. I was gassed. I was like, this is it. You know what I mean? This is exactly what I've been looking for. So yeah, there's loads of unseen footage together on the documentary, which I'm excited for everyone to see.
I'm super excited. How long is it?
Yeah.
How long's the documentary run?
Mate, it was about 4 hours when I first started. You know, like, but I was like, nah, I've got to cut this down. So I just didn't want to put it into parts. I just wanted it to be one feature. Like, you know, if you don't want to watch it, you don't have to. You can pause it here and there. So yeah, it's an hour and 28 minutes, I think.
Do you reckon you'll put together like a sort of an outtakes kind of thing?
Well, there you go, bruv. Look, boom, this is an exclusive because we haven't even put the promo out for this yet. But so yeah, look, that's it. That's already done. We've got a Freeze FM Raw and Uncut. So it's Freeze FM 2003 Raw and Uncut, and that's going to be dropping. The trailer will drop when on the back of the Freeze FM documentary, and that's like 45 minutes of just pure grime, pure bars. But it's foundation stuff, you know what I mean? Bashy, look where Bashy is now. Like he's got his TV thing started, sort of new show. I think it's on tonight.
He's got like billboards up in Times Square and shit, bro.
Smashing it. So, and even he saw the clip, bro, and he said foundational settings. When I saw that, I was gassed. I never met Bashy, obviously back in the day, but he see that the other day, so I was like, yes, that Bashy knows what's going on. So yeah, that's obviously for the grime heads. Not so much. we was going to put. I had an idea about putting that out first. I was like, look, the names on that, it's going to bring in so much traffic for when the documentary comes out. But then I chatted with a couple of pals, and they were like, nah, because look, you know, not everyone was a grime head. You know, like the older lot, the garage heads, they see that first, they're going to think the documentary is just pure grime, well, it's just not. You know what I mean? We had drum and bass DJs. We had all the best of British DJs. Obviously, Frosty still doing massive things now.
Yeah.
All passed through Freeze.
The house music was on there.
The house,
and
that's it,
it was
man. Anarchist.
Yeah.
I mean, Anarchist still doing bits in the house scene, and obviously
man.
John and Adrian.
That was a good thing. That was a good thing with Freeze, where like, you know, as we talked about the ISFM days and that, like, I mean, Flight, when I was around when Flight was a kid, Flight was a bit different because you had a lot of jungle and drum and bass on there, but you also had a lot of house and garage on there as well. Where the Light tended to be kind of just solid garage and early grime. Flex was a bit more varied, but Freeze, like Ice was obviously pure just garage, really.
Garage, wasn't it? Yeah.
But then when Freeze come along, it was kind of a good thing that it came along when it did, partly because garage had sort of died off. It was always around, but it had kind of died off. You had like the emergence of early UK funky, but house was big, drum and bass was massive at that time, and then obviously grime we've discussed, you know, ad nauseum, and it's like, yeah, mate, you had so many different genres, and Freeze was good like that because it had the best of everything.
Yeah,
and it didn't matter what you liked because there was always something on there that you would enjoy. See that one? So yeah, man, I think that was a massive part of its success. And
definitely, they tried to be crazy. They tried to be as professional as they could be. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For sure. When you was on there, obviously it's different now. Like I remember when I did a show on Ice Cold that later became Image. I can't remember
because we were both on that station. Ice Cold.
I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was or how long ago it was, but someone. I said to someone, what was it? I can't remember if it was like in a group chat or in like a BB group or something like that. And I was like, how's it getting out tonight kind of thing? And someone messaged me back and said, I'm getting it in Sittingbourne. And I was like, you fucking what? I was like, how's it getting down there? And they were like, yeah, on like the website. And I'm like, yeah, no.
The internet,
But that was leading me into the question was like, obviously, it was different with internet, but prior to that, what was the furthest you remember someone texting you in from? Like, can you remember anyone like?
What do you mean before internet?
So, yeah. The amount of people that get confused that don't realize, like, when you say like, where are you listening from? They don't realize what you're trying to get at. But what you're really asking is like, how far are we getting out?
Well, like I said to you, I just feel like, you know, for so many years when we was on the 90.4, it was, you know, I say local, but you know, it was a big West London and west of London. Do you know what I mean? Because like Watford, is Harrow London? Is it? Yeah, isn't it? It's a London borough. Yeah, of course. So obviously Watford, Hillingdon. No, Hillingdon's still London borough. So yeah, west of London.
Slough and all that it was covering.
Yeah, even that Slough sort of areas we was getting out. And then obviously when we jumped on the 927, we was more central. Like I don't know which way the things was all set and all that. But yeah, I feel just getting out like, yeah, East London. That was a big deal, and like part of, you know, East London, it was like the opposite of where we was. To be getting out that far, I swear, even people. I swear we had listeners from Brighton. I might be making this up.
No, it does happen though. It has happened over the years where pirate stations have reached. I know when Flight were in Sutton. I know there was a couple of times over the years, just speaking to them guys, like I know that they were hitting down out past Crawley. I mean, once you get to like where the hills are massive as you approach Brighton, like it gets a little bit more choppy, but it does happen. Like it does happen. And it's just like, as I say, when someone said Sittingbourne, I was like, fuck off, not an Ice Cold. Like Ice Cold got out well in west and west of London, but it never really got past Central, bro. You know, like down to Kent.
The other sides.
So we'll get into Ice Cold and Image and that as well, because obviously the original Ice Cold was 971, and that was around still at the time that Freeze was still on. But then obviously like change of management, Steve took over.
Steve, where's man like Steve Williams these days?
No idea.
What's happened to that?
But yeah, I remember when Freeze did shut down, everyone just kind of jumped on Ice Cold at the same time. Me and Eamon went on there at the same time as well, and it was like then that just kind of blew up a bit as well, and it was just like everyone that was into Freeze just sort of like we just sort of seemed to just gain a lot from them going off as well. Like, what time was your show on there?
What on Image
Alright.
or Ice Cold?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
Yeah, so I was
call it
doing.
ice cold because like it's just long in it.
Yeah, it was Ice Cold. It's the same station though, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the same
Yeah, yeah.
station. So I think I was doing a Wednesday night then. I think I met Steve, and obviously, look, he knew me from Freeze and all that, and he was just like, yeah, obviously, yeah, do you want to do a show? I said, yeah, definitely, bro. I think I've done a couple of gigs for him actually. I can't remember. But anyway, yeah, I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. No, it was definitely Wednesday. I'm just trying to see if I've got one of the flyers up. I've got a load of flyers out there. I'm just looking. Yeah, it was a Wednesday night. I done it with DJ Evo.
Yeah.
But these sort of times was kind of like the electro garage. You know, not electro garage, electro house. Yeah, it was them sort of times. So again, like I said to you, I sort of being a party DJ and a club DJ, I evolved because it was my job too, you know what I'm saying? And I loved it. Look, even to this day, I love all genres of music. You know what I mean? You put me on a bit of Nirvana or you put me on a bit of Getz, whatever, you know what I mean? A bit of Adele. I love everything. So, yeah, that was the electro house time. But I was still buying vinyl. So what year was this? 2006,
I was on there 09, I think.
Still 09, isn't it? So I was still buying, vinyl, definitely.
Yeah, because we had the old studio. We had them CDJs were in there, but they were the 100s. They were like the little silver ones.
Yeah, the old ones. Yeah.
And they were a little bit like.
Where are you talking about? Because we got Ice Cold. We had the one on Shepherd's Bush Green. Yeah.
Remember that? I joined after that.
Was you a bit later? So
yeah, when we was already at the Vale, when we was up the Vale.
Yeah, the Vale. But then even before that, we were somewhere else. Or was that Image? We was like under like a train. Did you ever go to that one under like one of their arches?
No. The only time
was only there briefly. Was only there briefly actually. And then we was at the Vale. Yeah, we was at the Vale. Yeah.
I was there from the Vale, and then we had the other unit there as well. Do you remember when it moved around when we changed the image?
It was upstairs or something, wasn't it? Yeah, it was in like Yeah.
That was a sick little studio though. That was when Steve bought like the CDJ 800s and that, and he proper done it up. Like that was like that's what I'm saying though. That was like almost professional radio then. Do you know what I mean? It's fucking crazy, bro. It's absolutely crazy to think like we were going in there and them shit, bro. I've been on professional radio and there's not like
same.
You know, same with you. Like you've done bang on that, and it's like, bro, it's not apart from like the feel of everything's a lot more tidy. Do you know what I mean? And the microphones don't smell like arsehole.
Oh my gosh, bro! Let me tell you. Well, not let me tell you because I don't want to ruin it. But bro, there's a section in the documentary dedicated to the microphone. Let me just tell you that. And it's jokes, bro. Like everyone said the same thing. Yeah, that's one of my favorite parts of the documentary. It's talking about the grimy microphone from pirate radio.
Mate, if anyone who's listening, any pirate DJ that's listening will know that like
bring your own mic.
Bring your own mic, because that microphone, like the amount of people, like even if they treat it with respect, there's still little bits of saliva going on that mic over the course of a month, a year. That builds up, and it's so many different types of bacteria. You're growing a different civilization on that mic, bro.
Mate,
it stinks. It fucking stinks. Oh my god! But that's what I'm saying. Like, so when you do pro radio, like it's good to have a microphone that doesn't smell like a baboon's arsehole, but like apart from that, there's not that much difference sometimes with the later pirate studios, bruv. Like I felt comfortable in both, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. But even like, sorry, bro, I thought what you was going to say there was about the vibe, how different it was, like how even though, doing the
the vibe is different. The vibe is very different.
I did Bang and London Live for a bit, but even that, bro, it was like, you know, you got your play. Like I could play what I want, I could choose what I wanted to play, but it was just like they wanted you to play it off the computer screens, and you know what I mean. And you got to do the weather and all that, and I was just like, this is all a bit too much for me. Like, you know, it's like it's not what you know. I just want to get into the mix. I like to do a professional show, and I like to host it and introduce the tracks and stuff. But yeah, like Legal Station just didn't have that same buzz, you know what I mean? And like I said, even the illegal side of it, I never got any in trouble with it.
Nah.
But yeah, man. And even today, like
there was one time when we were down the Vale with Ice Cold. I'm gonna get my mate Greg Brazil to come on and tell the story properly. But there was an incident. I used to play after him on a Sunday. I moved to Sundays in the end, and I used to do like the 2 till 4. And he did 12 till 2, him and Midget Man. And there was an incident where I don't want to explain it and get it wrong, but basically Armed Old Bill turned up thinking that we had like, they thought that for some reason Midget Man had a gun. So like someone from the business park had called him. Armed Old Bill have turned up. like my mates come out the studio to let me in, and I'm standing there. Oh, there's all these armed old Bill there, and I'm like, what the fuck are this lot doing here? So I've turned up for my show, bruv. I'm like half hour early. Greg's come to the door, opened the door, and he's looked out, and there's armed old Bill everywhere, and it's like later transpired when they've come out. Like by this point, I'm doing my show, so I missed everything because I've gone in to do my show. But my pals have come out, and they've gone to get like they were driving motorbikes at the time, and they've gone to come out, and they were just like armed police, and they were like,
with the guns out now.
Yeah, they thought they had guns with. They
Oh,
thought like
shit.
some. I think it was like a flip case on a phone or something like that, and
Yeah,
someone had said it was a gun. And but
Man,
yeah,
put the MP5s out on you and that.
I was shitting myself because I thought they were coming to raid the studio.
Yeah.
But when they were like, no, we're looking for someone, I was like, all right, sweet, I'm going to go do my show. And then when my mates have come out, obviously it's all gone mad, but he's going to tell the story properly. But yeah, that was the only real time I've come close. And I was like, fuck, I can't just walk away now because I'm carrying a record bag. Like, like what are you here for?
You're going to have the bomb squad on your neck.
But I'm standing there thinking, right, how do I get out of this? Because I can't go in there and go into the gaff because then I'm going to get nicked as well. But I can't just leave, because then they're going to be like, well, why are you here? You can't, because it was one of them places you wouldn't just walk past it. You had you were going there for a reason. Yeah. So yeah, no, that was a hairy one for us, boy. But I don't even think we even told Steve about that happening, to be honest. I think we just kept that one quiet.
I don't know. I haven't spoke to Steve for a long time, man. Long time since radio. Even on social media, you know, like some people just disappear, don't they?
Yeah.
You know, you don't see of them, and then you see them like 10 years later.
Last I heard he had a kid and he was just on the quiet. So
yeah, it was good sauce, man. Good sauce.
Yeah. When did you how long was you on the Image for? I was there.
I was on Image for quite long, really.
Yeah.
So like obviously Freeze come back, and I remember having a conversation with Steve, and he was sort of a bit like, obviously, you know what I mean, you're a blood. No, I don't know what he said, but he sort of give me permission that I could go and do he didn't want me to leave Ice, but I could go and do a show on Freeze. And obviously Evo was still doing the show. So I think there was a stage where I was doing a show on Ice Cold, obviously, an Image. And then when Freeze come back for the last couple of years, I was on both. So that was 2000. And then, I was on Image to 2010, 2011. I'm like,
I left in 11.
I'm not too sure with the years. I get confused with the years, you
know. So yeah, the story with Freeze coming back, I'm sure you touch on it in a documentary, but trying to, but obviously I just feel the DTI must have just had a hard on for us, and we're like, nah, these ain't. I think they knew the connections with Eskimo Dance, Garage Fever, you know what I mean, and I feel that they knew the money was there. Obviously Ricky, Ingrid, and you know, and they weren't going to have it, bro. So it was once they know that you're taking money and not paying licenses and taxes and everything else, like, they're not having it. Because I remember they put that community station. I think it was. I made a mistake on the last episode. I said 928, but it wasn't. It was 926.
It was somewhere close. Yeah.
Yeah, it was in Watford. It was coming out of Watford. So I knew when that happened, I knew it was going to be curtains and they'd have to move. And obviously they tried to come back on, but yeah, what was the deal with it when it came back on? Did it go straight on FM? I can't remember now.
When we come back on, the second time? Yeah, because obviously like internet radio was kind of a bit getting places then. So I don't even know if we had that. Yeah, we had the internet set up. I think we was on 2 frequencies.
I know it was like freezefm.co.uk when it first came back.
Yeah, freezefm.co.uk. But I think, I might be wrong here, but I feel we was on like 99.5 or something.
Okay.
I've got a flyer.
I think it was.
I've got a flyer somewhere. Yeah. I've got a flyer. Give me 1 sec. I've got a box of flyers. I've got a box of flyers here. And I swear, I had to go and dig them out for the reminiscence. You know what I mean? Old one.
Yeah, I feel like it was 99.5 actually. Now you've mentioned it.
Yeah, and then again, we still sort of promoted that we was going out on the 927, but I feel we just tried to avoid that. But still, you know, that they was on us hard these times. And
they do that with them community stations, mate. They just put on and a lot of them community stations are dog shit. No one listens.
Yeah, no structure to it. Like, even I've been on a few. I'm not going to name them, but I've been on a few local stations. You know, like legal.
Yeah.
And like actually, without me naming it, it's where I'm from and it's the town I'm from station. So everyone will know what I'm talking about without me actually slagging them off. But Oh, mate, they asked me to come and do a show, and I was well excited. I was like, oh, this is a legal station. It's my local hometown. They want me to go on. Oh, mate, I got there, couldn't even get in. Like, there was no one in there. It was like, walked in, there was offices. It was like, literally, I was like, what? This is a legal station. There's no one here. Like, there was no engineers. There was no nothing. There was no, like, CDJs in there, you know, like they said. So that was a bit mad. But, like, yeah, like you said, man, like, it wasn't run well. That's my point I was trying to say. It was like, it wasn't run at all. It was literally, you know what I mean? Disco Dave had been put in charge of it, and he didn't really care about it, you know? Like,
it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's so many community stations out there like that, because, you know, you need the passion, don't you? You need the love and the drive to sort of...
I think it only works when some pirates go legal. I know, obviously, Flex has done it. Rinse is probably the best example, because Rinse really stayed true to what they were.
Yeah, definitely.
And they kept building on their own brand. They've changed a little bit now, but they've still got a lot of like proper underground people in there. And one I'm actually excited for is Select. So Select were on 99.3, and they've got a legal license, and they're launching in the summer on FM. And it's mad because they're launching from the same block that they were using for years, but just legal this time. Like,
that's cool.
same with another legal station as well. They're on, like, every time I go past their block, I'm like, that was there when I was a kid, and that's still there now. Like, but that one's legal. Like, it's mad. But like, I think with some of the community stations, like, they're giving licenses to these things, and they're just rubbish. Like, they don't serve what they're supposed to serve, and it's just like, oh. And when you think about what we lost for them to have that shit on there, like,
man,
pointless,
definitely.
mate, absolutely pointless. But so yeah, what was it like for you, obviously, when, you know, you were on Image and Ice Cold and that, and then Freeze the second time around? How long did it stick around, and how long did you stick around?
It was not even a year, I don't think.
Yeah,
it wasn't even a year. So like I said, I went back, started doing some shows, and by these times I had a little business going as well. I had sort of 4 or 5 DJs working for me, you know, like doing the private scenes, and I had a couple of clubs and stuff. So it was good for me. But Freeze obviously come back, so I've got all them shows, you know what I mean? And even like, I got a lot of DJ shows on there, and they were like, Freeze is coming back. But it didn't last.
No.
And again, sort of, I wasn't really involved in the technical side of it, so I couldn't really tell you. Kanga's the man. He's the man who's going to tell you the full details of when it finally got shut down. You know what I mean? But
and obviously, as I say, I don't want to spoil too much of the documentary, so I won't ask too much. But
But I just remember giving Adam the call, saying, look, we'd been off for a couple of weeks, you know, like, and did I ring Adam or Ricky or something? And they were just like, look, man, we ain't got the money. You know what I mean? We ain't got the money to get the rigs. We ain't going to be back. And then I just thought, if they're saying that, we ain't. I think Freeze has gone now. You know what I mean? But I think sort of them sort of times, again, this is 2009 we're talking. So I think these sort of times, maybe I'd even started doing my legal show on Bang. I was on Bang, and I was doing like Friday drive time or whatever, and there. All sort of around them sort of times. You know what I mean? 2010.
Yeah.
So and also as well, do you know what? I've got to be honest. I don't think I was as gutted as I should have been. Or I feel like where I was doing so much other stuff, you know what I mean? I had the legal show going on. I still had my fingers with Ice and Evo on that show. And, you know, I was so busy DJing, and I had the studio at the time as well. I had the recording studio, Musical Ego. I was running. I just was so busy. It was like, all right, hopefully that'll come back, but it didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the thing is, I think like once something falls off a little bit and it's not what it used to be, you're not really that sad about it. You know what I mean? Not that sad about letting it go.
I wasn't, like I said, I was doing other stuff, so it was like, you know, where I was so eager to get involved when we first started. You know, I jumped fully in. You know, I was like, I don't want no money, Ad. I'm just going to do this. You know what I mean? I didn't ever get charged subs. It was just like, Ash, if you do this for us, we'll do this for you. I think even the very first Freeze FM event, there's a flyer for it again, 2001 at Club Moonlight in Harrow it was. And that was the Freeze FM showcase. But this was before we had any, like the biggest names we had on there was like Adrian Atom and like the Divinyl Records crew, John Manning. You know, like this was all us local heads, like Flavor G, Chig, all the local MCs, and Fatal Attraction, actually, obviously with Chucky online, he was part of. But that was my rave. So I just said to Adam, look, can I put on a Freeze FM rave and call it the Freeze FM Showcase? You know what I mean? So that's how sort of involved we were. You know what I mean? Just sort of helping each other out, and obviously it helped the station out. I think I might give them a bit of money for using the name and that.
Yeah.
But
no,
yeah.
it's good to be involved in something from the ground up, and you've got your own little part of you've got your own little part of history, and you know it's fully documented and it's coming out
mate, I'm so
on the 18th
excited.
of April, mate.
I really am. As much as you said you're excited to watch it, I'm excited to get it out there and just let everyone sort of see it. You know, it's been a labour of love.
How many times have you sat and watched it from start to finish?
That's what I'm saying, but I said this to my missus, yeah. I said, I must have watched it, especially the first bit, like the first 10 minutes. I reckon I'm close to 1,000 times now, bro. I'm probably gonna roll a reefer, get a nice juice and that, and sit back and watch it again after I've done this now, because I feel inspired again, you know. And I've basically, I've still got a little bit of editing to do here and there. I've got a couple of little bits to add in, which obviously I need to do, because we've only got 10 more days. Or when this podcast comes out, I think it's going to be literally a few days.
4 more days, yeah. We're dropping the podcast on the 14th, so
yeah.
So,
mate. I'm super excited. Let's just get the legacy.
It's one of them ones though. You got to be careful. Like I've said this a couple of times in other interviews. Like when me and Eamon were running a label for a bit, we used to do like executive producing for. We'd have people, a lot of DJs, and a lot of producers would make music, and it'd be really good, but it just wouldn't quite be finished, or the mix breaks wouldn't quite be in the right place, or something just needed like. So they'd send us the stems, and we'd basically just executive produce the whole thing. And I remember like saying to someone recently, I can't remember if it's BQ or someone else, but like it gets to a stage when you've heard pieces of a song over a period of time, you're sick of it. So be careful that you don't sit in the edit too long and then sit there and watch a documentary and just be at a stage where you're like,
bro,
fuck this.
Totally. But you know what? I've got kind of like another, it's like, I don't want to use the word addiction or anything like that, but like obviously like I produced music for years as well. But this process is, I don't want to say it's completely different, but it's similar. So I just get into like a zone.
I suppose it's because it's memory lane as well though, isn't it?
Yeah. So this, different to producing music. But my I wanted to, was just like I get into a zone, and I'm like, headphones on, boom, I'm in there. Like I'm totally. I want to get this finished, or I want to get this little part finished. And so I don't ever watching it 1,000 times. It didn't feel like it. That's probably the truth as well. I definitely have watched it about 1,000 times. But like I say, look, it's memories, and it's like putting it together, and I want that bit to be perfect and that transition to be, you know what I mean? And the music, and it just, it's like art.
I'm so excited,
like
mate. I'm so excited. I'm getting goosebumps, bro. I'm telling you.
Man. It's because good. It's good. The lineup's sick.
As I said at the start of the show, there's not enough of it, you know. I wish we could. Part of it is because we didn't have like the ease of camera phones and stuff back then and whatnot. Like, you know, I wish, if there's one thing I could wish, it would be to go back to my early pirate days and that and film a lot more. I've got a few pictures on that, but
same.
It's not the same. It's not the same.
Bro, like I said to you, that here they are here. Look, these are the 15 tapes, the DVD tapes I've got. But there's one of me, brother. It's my whole set and my interview. But so I was gassed watching it. I had a bit more hair as well in the old 20 years ago.
You and me both, mate.
But it was sick to see all that footage. And obviously, look, no one's seen it, so it's not like it's been on a documentary up for 20 years. No one really bothered about, or no one's seen any of this footage, you know. So I'm so excited to get it out there and get some feedback. Like, look, obviously, I've had so much feedback, thousands of off all the different platforms of just like you said, can't wait to see it, or oh, this is sick. Yeah, this needed to be done a long time. Even like some big industry heads, you know, like people like Benny Scars, which is he's from West London, but he's Dave's manager, so Santan Dave's manager.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he sent us a message just saying, look, I can't wait to see this. Good work.
I think you'll be surprised how much that blows up as well. Like, it's something I've noticed, especially since the show with Ricky dropped yesterday, funnily enough, like the amount of emails, text, new Instagram followers, people hitting me up. Like, I got a message. I'm a member of a website called Radio Next, and you should get on there actually and put the podcast. I've already mentioned on there that you're doing it and you're coming on, but you should go on there and sign up to that and post the video on there. People will go nuts for it on there. But the amount of people that have messaged me on there, and they're all under different names and aliases and stuff, and they're like, Jay, it's me from back in the day. Like, I've listened to your podcast, and I'm like, fucking hell, like I haven't seen you for 15 years. What's going on here? Like, but I think you're going to get that when this comes out. You're going to get so much of that, bruv. So
we look forward to it. Like I say, look, I've enjoyed it so much that it's like I'm ready for the next project. So You know what I mean? It's like, not that I'm saying it's going to be a business. It might not. We'll see what happens. But, you know, I want to do another one. You know what I mean? And I've got a few ideas. I'm not going to throw them all off my head now and tell you. But yeah, I've got a few other things potentially in the pipeline. To say it like that, I suppose, is the best way to say it.
And obviously, you're going to be looking forward to getting back on the party scene and stuff once we're allowed to go back out.
I miss DJing. I've never called it work. You know, like when I gave up work to do that and to make DJ and music my life, I thought to myself, I'm never going to call this work. But yeah, I can't wait to get back to work, bro. I can't wait to get back behind them decks. I miss people. You know, like I just miss being around people and socializing and just as much as like I know you do, bro. Like I feel music. I love it. Like it's just I can't describe. I could do, but I'll be here all day. But I can't wait to give that to other people again. You know, like when when you're doing a 6 set and you know when you've got the people buzzing and yeah, like I do it for that as much as, you know, I like getting paid for it. But
yeah. And how has it been this last week or so with all of the different, like you sort of done like a mad media tour, bruv? Like what's
mate, like I said, even still with radio, obviously I haven't done a regular slot for a few years.
But you've been everywhere like this.
Yeah.
Every time I'm on Instagram, I'm like,
yeah.
Where is he today?
I booked in. You know, all I did, bro, like obviously, look, thank you for reaching out for me, bro. But I probably would have reached out to you. As I did with a lot of people. I was there one night and I thought, you know what I need to do? I need to do a radio tour or I need to get a bit more promotion. So I thought, I'm literally just going to get my phone out and I just emailed everyone I know who's on radio, who does shows or podcasts like yourself, and just said, look, obviously I'm doing the thing. Can I come on and have a chat? And everyone was just like, yeah, look, next week or tomorrow or live streaming or doing a podcast through Zoom and stuff. So yeah, I've been really busy.
This podcast is going to be dropping on the 14th. So obviously won't plug anything that you've done the last couple of days, so to speak. But what have you got coming up in between now and the time that the documentary drops?
So I've got another, obviously now it would have already come out by now. So I've got another podcast I did with Hillingdon TV, John Blower. That would have all been out. I'm going on Rinse with Marcus Nasty, but basically the Rinse show, we was going to do a bit of a showcase. So like Hyperactive, Danger K, Sharky P, Spinny B, Chunky, like, you know what I mean? A few heads from the station, maybe Musical Mob. But we have to wait for the COVID rules, basically, so we can all get in the studio and do that. Obviously, me going doing an interview and stuff. So I haven't got a date for that yet, but I'm going on Flavour UK. But they've only been running about a year now. They're internet-based station. Manic, doing a show on Manic next week. Manic.com, which is good. And then I've done a show. I know this has already been, but I've done a show. It's the first time I've been on there. But again, there's another up-and-coming station which is doing pretty good things. Is EXT Radio.
Yeah, I saw that. That was with Lee, right?
With Nasty Lee, I went on there. But that's a nice little setup there. I met the owners and stuff and sort of chatted with them what their sort of ideas were. And yeah, man.
It's mad how good some of them studios are nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you said, though, innit? It's like, yeah, you know, they're set up like legal stations now. And you know, to a certain extent, they are legal because they're not illegal. You know, I know a few of them are still transmitting on FM on the D-Lo, and you don't promote it. But you know, majority of these stations now are internet stations, and it's just a completely different time to when we was doing pirates. Like, it's not needed as such. You know what I mean? And I don't mean that in like it's not wanted or needed, but you know, there's platforms where if you wanted back in 1999, 2001, you wanted to listen to old school garage or garage,
you put the radio on, bruv.
No, but Kiss, even like when Kiss weren't playing it, you know, like you had to listen to Ice or Freeze or whatever wherever you were in London. You know, this day and age, you get your phone out and you type whatever song you want to listen to, boom, you've got it. You know what I mean? You couldn't do that 20 years ago.
Even pirate stations, like Ricky was saying on his tune-in, like he's got just a list of all of the pirates that have still got streams. Like I used to say, some of them do you know, we are, you know, garage.fm and we don't have FM, but you know, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We know you do. Like but yeah, like it's crazy that so many of them have still got a stream up and stuff like that. And I think he was saying
that's good. That's a good thing, though. You know what I mean? It's still good. So, yeah, it's a good thing that they're still going out. It's just a different thing now, man. It's just different. Like I said,
a whole different world. A whole different.
Like,
we are. I was saying that I was in a work meeting this morning, and we were talking about sort of making. I won't say where I work because it's just there's too many nutters out there. But and as you say, I've offended a few people over the years, so I don't want to get some cunt turn up at my job.
Hunting you down.
But we were talking about doing virtual tours and things like that, and filming and making things accessible online. And we were saying like we were talking about doing webinars and that for the stuff that we do, and it was like people were saying, oh yeah, but we prefer it when people are there in person. I'm like, yeah, but what you got to understand is if we do that webinar, it doesn't matter if there's 5 people that log in at that time. Like if that's recorded, it's like the podcast, bruv.
Yeah,
everything's on demand now. Everything's on I get more listeners doing this podcast after.
Totally. I know exactly what you mean. That's it. It's at everyone's pleasure now, and it's like they don't. Like I said to you earlier, I'm putting it. Someone was suggesting me like do the documentary. It was like, oh, you need to put it up in 4 parts, Ash, and I was like, yeah, but then what? Like, what if no one gets to the second part? Or do you know what I mean? I just want to put it out in one. Like, if no one wants to watch the whole thing, you don't have to. You know what I mean? You can watch 20 minutes there, pause it. You know what I mean? So
most of the time when you go back into YouTube, if you go on the same video, it's on the same fucking.
It starts playing from where you don't. Yeah, that's it, man.
And it's the same with this. Like it was something my missus said to me, like she's not really into the scene and things like that, but she was like, she saw the episode of BQ and she was like, how long is it? I said 3.5 hours, and she went, people are going to listen to that for 3.5 hours. Do you know what's mad, Ashley? I went into on the site where we host the podcast and that, I went into it and I had a look at the stats. You know the average listening time for that 3.5 hour show?
Go on, I'm intrigued.
2 hours 58 minutes.
So there you go. That's
the average time, bro. That's like most people are listening to the whole thing in one block. So an hour and a half of a Pirate Radio documentary, bro. People are going to be tuned in from start to finish, including myself, mate.
Like that's it. Like there's probably about 4 people maybe 5. No, not even that. There's probably about 4 people who've watched the documentary through, because obviously I wanted some kind of feedback from it. You know what I mean? And the first thing everyone said was, actually, you can't have it 2 hours long. And I was like, well, I don't want to cut any of it. I've been editing this for weeks. I've been up till 4 o'clock in the morning every night. What, you want me to cut that bit out? Nah, this bit's... But then I got it. Like, the more I watched it, you know what I mean? I was like, actually, that whole bit can go. You know what I mean? But it was where I'd spent hours on editing that 30 minutes. It was like my little babies. You know what I mean? I was like, nah, that bit's sick. Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
Yeah, you want to have a flow, but it's one of them ones where you can't. I think 90 minutes is good. It's one of them ones that I always notice with doing a radio show. Like I'd always start to feel a little bit, just the energy level would drop after about them ones. So it's a good time. It's a good time for people to sit and watch something. But when you think about it, bro, people sit and watch fucking Lord of the Rings for 3.5 hours.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I'm one of them. I'm a binge watcher, bro. Me and my missus, I think we got onto it late, but like the series isn't that. We watched oh my god, how can I forget the name? What's the Hells Angels bikers? What's it called?
Oh, Sons of Anarchy.
Oh my god, how could I forget it? I loved it. You know what? I watched that. Me and my missus binge watched that in about 4 days, bro.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like someone said to me,
4 days.
Someone said to me, "Oh, like your latest," because I did another episode that's 3 hours long, and someone was like, "Oh, but it's 3 hours," and I was like, "Bruv, I sat there the other day and watched a fucking documentary about a serial killer on Netflix, and it was over an hour per episode, and I've done the whole series in one night."
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's it. Again, it's sort of exactly the same as what we spoke about with picking music, where you just listen. It's like people, it's at your pleasure now. You can watch the whole season. Or not, you know what I mean? You watch the one, but it's down to the person, isn't it?
Well, I'm looking forward to watching it, mate. Really, I'm looking forward to watching it. We'll wrap up in a minute, but we're doing a section on the show called the Dilemma section, and I'm getting the special guest to get involved in the dilemmas. And I've had a couple come through this week, but
I was looking forward to this bit actually. When I heard Rick was on yesterday, I thought, oh shit, I'm gonna get one of them questions. I wonder what it's gonna be.
This one's a little bit mad. So I had someone message in, and I don't know if the thing is, you don't know if people are saying it seriously or just for a laugh.
I'm having a wind up, but still, it might help someone out.
Someone messaged me. It was a girl, and she basically said. The question is basically, my boyfriend has got bad breath, or he's developed bad breath. She was very clear to make that clear that it was developed. She didn't go out with someone who already had bad breath. So her boyfriend's got bad breath. How does she approach the subject?
This one's a good one. Well, look, personally, bad breath. I'm not a fan of that. Like, look, we just spoke about the microphone, didn't we, at Pirate Radio? That's quite an easy one, though, really, isn't it? Like,
It
You just sort
depends.
of,
I think it
you can
depends on the
sort of
person.
like,
Like,
you
if
can
the
sort of,
person's
yeah.
sensitive or whatever, do you know what I
If
mean?
they're
Like,
sensitive, then you just need to have the chewing gums all the time, don't you? Like, but obviously, if it's an ongoing thing, you sort of need to just be a bit jokey, don't you? Like, "Boy, is that your breath?" Like, depending again, it depends on the relationship,
yeah,
doesn't it?
I
You know
think,
what I mean?
and
Like,
I don't really
you
know the
can't
guy,
be
and
having that.
I don't know the fella either, so I can't really.
Yeah,
Yeah, but for me,
yeah.
yeah,
You just
it's
need
one of them ones
draw
you
for the
just got to
chewing
be
gum, man.
honest. You just
Yeah,
got to be
just either
honest.
be honest, or like, yeah, just draw for the gum. You know what I mean? Just try and keep it fresh.
It
Try and
depends on how
keep it
long
as
you've been
fresh.
together as well, because like I know for a fact, like
Yeah,
I've woke up with morning breath a couple of times, and my missus has just said to me like, "Your breath stinks this morning."
that's
Like, you
what I'm
know?
saying. Yeah, that's what I meant about the banter. It does depend because look, my missus said that to me, and I say it to her like, "Whoa, go brush your teeth," you know, like banter, and it's cool. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you just got to be honest with that, mum, because yeah, bad breath. But it's when they don't notice, and it's like some people don't notice, like that they
Yeah.
didn't put the right guard on in the morning. It's like maybe there ain't no help for these people. Do you know what I mean? Same with the breath thing.
Yeah, just completely ponging out on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the mate. Do you know what? I actually brush my teeth just before every episode, just in case there's anything in it on the camera.
Yeah.
And I pick a little social media clip, and I've got a fucking bit of spinach hanging out my mouth or something like that. But yeah, so that's the dilemma section for this week. If you've got a dilemma or a confession, or even just a question for the show or for the guest, then do send them in to the Over the Hill podcast at gmail.com, and they will be kept anonymous, as you've just heard. No one knows who that person is.
No
so
one. You tell me who it is after though, and I'll send them some Colgate and some extras.
Listerine. Maybe she should do that. Maybe she should just go out and just buy a load of like a variety packet of them or something. Just stick them all on the window.
Mouthwash, definitely. Get the mouthwash in the kitchen cupboard if you got that. Yeah, that will help, definitely.
But yeah, send your emails in for the dilemmas and the confessions. Did you see the confession I had this week where the geezer said that he got caught bashing in his mum and dad's bed by a builder that was working at the house when he was bunking off school one day?
Who was that with?
That bro, I put it up on my Instagram on a story, and I said, "Oh, tell me, like, give me your confession." And the geezer said, "Bro, the thing is, I know this geezer, and I know it's true because he's a piece of shit. Like, I know it's true." And he messaged me and said, "Yeah, bruv, there was one time I got caught. What was it he said? I got caught smashing the life out of myself on my mum and dad."
By his mum?
No, by a builder that was working in the house, but it was on his mum and dad's bed.
Yeah. Oh shit,
bruv, what are you doing on your mum and dad's bed, bashing one out?
Yeah, of course. What are you doing on your mum and dad? But I don't know who's in the wrong there, though. Really, what's the builder going in the bedroom for? You know what I'm saying? Like,
maybe that's why his family never found out.
Yeah, he's just found a little moment, and then I feel the builders intruded on him. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, mate. But yeah, I know him. And he's the sort of geezer. One time, right, we went round to borrow his car, and we knocked on the door, and his sister opened the door. And it was like, "Oh yeah, his matey in. Like, we need to borrow his car." And she shouted up the stairs to him, and he's like, "It's taking ages to come down." And me and my pal were just like, "What the fuck's he doing?" Like, we were on our way to radio. Actually, I was trying to borrow his car to go do a show, and it was like, "What the fuck? Where is he?" Like, I know he's coming. He's like, "Oh, sorry, boys, I was just having a massive wank." Like, you know, he's like one of them people, like proper scumbag. So
there's no filter. Just listen. This is what's going on. Yeah.
My missus saw the Instagram story and she was like, "Who are your friends?" Like, I was like, "Don't worry, you haven't met him and you won't." Like,
he's not coming round for dinner.
But yeah, no, he said that when he used the phrase, "I was smashing the life out of myself in my mum and dad's bed," I was like, I knew it was true. But yeah, so if you've got confessions like that and you want to get them off your chest and no one knows about them, send them into the show and we'll read them out as well. But I had to share that one on Insta because that was too funny. But speaking of Insta and the socials, where can people catch you and where can people catch the documentary?
Yes, definitely. So the documentary, I set up a new YouTube channel, which is just Ashley J. But obviously, if you search Freeze FM documentary on all the platforms, you'll be able to find it. Also set up a Freeze Films on the Instagram, so follow us on there. And then everything else is like Ashley J DJ. So Facebook and Instagram and stuff, Ashley J or Ashley J DJ.
So yeah, if anyone's listening on Spotify or iTunes, why wouldn't you be? I'm going to put the link to the YouTube channel in the description, like in the little bio thing for the episode anyway. So you'll have a direct link to it there. So yeah, subscribe to the YouTube channel and they'll be able to pick up on documentary when it drops on the 18th. Bruv, I'm so excited and I'm so happy you took the time to come on and talk about it as well.
Do you know what? Like I just said to you now, it was good talking to you about it like this. It's inspired me. I'm going to go and watch the documentary again, make sure there's any bits that I might need to change. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on, brother. I think what you're doing is brilliant. This platform, especially the subject matter you're talking about, it's a bit of me.
Yeah,
so make sure everyone subscribe.
Yep,
to the
subscribe
Over
and
the
follow.
Hill podcast and get involved, man, and carry on, Jay. I look forward to hearing the rest of your podcast for the rest of the year, bro.
When I press stop, I'll tell you some of the other guests I've got coming on.
Yeah, definitely, bro.
But yeah, we're out for another week. Every Wednesday from now on, the podcast is going to be dropping. So episode 8 with Ashley J is a wrap. And coming up on the next episode, well, you're just going to have to subscribe and follow to find out. So peace out.